Hello, everyone. This is Mom Shine. I hope that you're having a great time. I noticed that you have some difficulties with the post-test kaya gusto ko malaman na okay kaya kayo dyan. So, let us see. Now, my topic is going to revolve around the discussion of universal design of learning. And as you are seeing, my screen is not working. Yeah, okay. So this is for hybrid teaching. So first of all, I would like to know how you're feeling right now. So this is an example of a check-in activity that we can do hybrid. So you can either paste your emoticon or just describe your emotion of the day. So please write your answer on our chat box. Let me see some answers. Bibilis. Okay, aktibo ang ating mga participants. Very nice. So we're seeing here smiley faces, heart, with lots of love. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much. So the emoticon or the check-in activity that you have seen earlier presents diversity. It presents that we are not going to begin our day at the same pace. It presents that we are having difficult connectivities in different areas of the country. So some will have bigger opportunities as compared to some na nagkakaroon ng difficulties with their internet connectivity, just like the problem that we have had kanina sa ating post-test, di ba? So you see na talagang hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na one size fits all. So on this picture, I would like to know, ano ba ang problema sa larawan na nakikita natin ngayon? So can anyone tell me what the problem is? Why is this woman cannot climb up the stairs? May I know the reason? So possible reasons are it's not accessible. Oh, because of the disability. Oh, interesting answer. Because there is no ramp because of her disability. Wow, okay. That is really good. That is my first time ever to say or to see that from my participants' point of view, nag-mention sila ng term ng disability. So it reminded me na yes, this is a topic on psychology, and my teachers, our participants right now might have background in psychology already. And when you are going to look at the picture, let me zoom it out. Okay, you will see that if the stairs is the problem, then you are looking at the social model of disability. So that therefore you are blaming the inaccessibility of the structure of the building. That is why the woman cannot access the structure. Okay. So again, that is what you call as the social model of disability. It tries to explain that there are a lot of barriers, the inaccessibility of everything that makes a person having a disability. On the other hand, which I'm really surprised to see from you, disability is also because of a physical impairment. So if your answer is the person cannot climb up the stairs because of that disability, then that model is what we call as the medical model of disability. So the medical model of disability blames the person with disability for not being able to access the structure of the building. So that is the reason why you really have to make sure that there is a balanced approach between medical and the social model of disability, which is called as the biopsychosocial model, that will take into account the problems with inaccessibility and also the problem that was brought about by an impairment. Okay? So balanced approach lang siya. So you will see here that the social model of disabilities presents that the society has a lot of barriers that are needing to be identified. So these barriers are environment, inaccessible buildings, the attitudes, and also the organization's procedures and also some practices. And so it presents, as mentioned, that one size does not actually fit all. Kasi kahit tayo na mga professionals in this classroom, in this in the Zoom meeting room, we also have different affordances. So others might hear me clearly. Others daw ay naglalag. Others naman ay maliit ang gadget na ginagamit. Others ay may laptop. Others ay marami pang ino-open ng mga websites while listening to me. Others ay may deadline today. Others are having to check a lot of requirements. Others will submit other papers at the end of this week, di ba? Or itong Saturday na to. So, ang daming mga reasons for us to really state that we are truly different from one another. So, ano ang role of education? Now, back then, the role of education is just to simply learn from school. But now that dumating si pandemya, so the question now is that how do we make learners, students, learn sa loob ng bahay? So doon natin tinawag yung hybrid form of learning. So when you say hybrid, merong options for online, meron ding options sa on-site. So in other cases, in other universities, or lang sila. Meaning, kapag may online kayong klase, online lang lahat. Kapag may on-site kayong klase, on-site lang lahat. However, when you say hybrid, medyo mas makabago, ano? Sabay pwedeng nangyayari ito. So there are some universities na dito sa Philippines nakakaya na ito. But not all. Kaya ang presentations that I'm going to have would be the actual examples na ginamit for the past 2 years and also some practices that could be used during the hybrid event pa rin. May it be online, offline, may it be on-site or at home. Okay? So let us begin. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So creating UDL-based materials during the pandemic. First, what is UDL? Well, UDL, kwento natin ang background niya. During the 1970s, itong si architect Ron Mace, he noticed that in a building, since he is an architect, he noticed that there are separate entranceways for people on wheelchair versus people na nakakalakad, okay, ng maayos, or the typical persons. And so he realized that you have to design buildings from the beginning that would work for everyone. That means you're not going to cater the needs of a person with disability or a person on wheelchair kapag kailangan lang niya. So remember that when we are going to create universal design for learning, that means you already anticipated the needs of the diverse learners that you will be having in your classroom. So think about the universal charger, di ba? So si universal charger, kinreate siya kasi alam nang gumawa nun that there are a lot of gadgets na pwedeng ma-charge gamit ng iisang device. So that is an example to universal design. So segregation means separate ang kanilang entranceways, while inclusion, or what we call as education for all, is designing information and environment from the beginning that would work for everyone. So education for all, gasgas na to sa atin, ano? Education for all is actually written on our Decade Order 21 series of 2019. And ito naman yung signed nung March na tinatawag natin na Inclusive Education Act of 2022. So it states that persons with disabilities should not be placed in a special education setup just because meron siyang disability. So a person with disability ay pupunta lamang sa SPED if it is assessed na meron siyang learning needs na nababagay sa isang separate or segregated form of education. So therefore, in our regular classroom, we might be having people with disabilities or difficulties, and we have to create adaptations, accommodations, and modifications to fit in those needs. And one of the ways kung paano natin yung gagawin is through universal design of learning. According to UNESCO 2017, The process of overcoming barriers, or inclusion is the process of overcoming barriers, limiting the presence, participation, and achievement of learners. So tandaan natin si presence, participation, and achievement of learners. Okay? So yun yung target ng UNESCO. So meaning, in your classroom, for instance, if may presence siya ng diverse population, then that is inclusion. If all learners with different varying conditions ay nagpa-participate sa loob ng classroom mo, then that means it is inclusion. And if all learners, mapa-blind man yan, mapa-person with dyslexia man yan, ay nag-a-achieve of the same na mga outputs na meron ang typical learners, so then you definitely have inclusion. Okay? So, paano natin ito ginagawa? So, ito na yung main lecture natin ngayon. For online, you have to make sure that the references are accessible. So in our university, we do not check attendance, but we have check-in information or check-in questions. Questions is like what I asked you earlier. No, kumusta kayo? Ganyan. So you always have to reach out to your students. So in our university, we only have 12 weeks. Sa bawat week, meron kaming isang topic lang. So we have one synchronous and we also have one asynchronous for 1 week. So for instance, I have MPH na class. Yung Monday ko ay synchronous, then yung Thursday ko is an asynchronous meeting. So my style is that I'm going to give them the readings on Thursday. I will ask them to submit the output on Thursday and that we are going to discuss on Monday. So Monday ko usually is to check their misconceptions because there are a lot of misconceptions sa subject on special and inclusive education. So I would like to make sure na kung Thursday nila pinasa yun, as a teacher, I have to check it. So pagdating ng Monday, bibilang ng ilang araw, I will present the best worksheet and I will also explain bakit siya best. Tapos yung iba naman, bakit may mga ganun silang klase ng mga misconceptions. So that's me checking presence, okay? So additionally, whenever they have to attend my synchronous classes on Mondays, nag-check ako ng participation nila kada group. For example, you belong to group A. So you need to chat group A sa chat box and then mag-check ako sa aking physical na class record. So, nung pre-pandemya, to be honest, wala akong class record. Hindi uso diba? So, because we have Excel file naman However, during the pandemya, dun pa ako nagkaroon ng class record because I really needed to write kung sino yung magaling talaga sa klase, yung nagpa-participate, yung nakikinig intentionally because yung nakikinig intentionally is also part of the participation diba? So, I have to put some stars to remind me that these students are attentive in my class. Okay, because sometimes I will ask them to raise their hands while the class is ongoing or for me to check if they're still there. Okay, so offline. So for offline, I'm not going to check the attendance, but I have to monitor if the modules are being picked up. For students who have no connectivity and have no gadgets, may printed kasi sila na modules before. However, in the second year of pandemya, ang ginawa ng university is that binigyan nila ng gadgets yung mga estudyante na walang gadget, tsaka may kakulangan sa connectivity. So, may mga support na ginawa ganon. Now, dahil meron nga akong class record, nakikita ko yung mga hindi nagpapasa sa akin. Nakikita ko kung sino yung mga hindi umaattend. And that is the time when you text or call them. So that you know if kailangan na ba nilang mag-authorize withdrawal or talagang meron lang silang difficulties na kaya pa nating matulungan. Okay, so that would be presence. Next, this is an example. You are seeing my check-in activity. This is via Padlet. So I hope that you're already familiar with Padlet.com. If not, ito yung kanyang URL. Check nyo na lang paano siya ginagawa. Okay, so ang example ko dito is check-in, what is your emoticon of the day? So yun yung tanong ko sa kanila. So there are a lot of emoticons there. Yan. So may nahihiya, yung isa naman yung nag-celebrate ng birthday niya on that day. So kakantahan natin, ganyan. Okay, so for participation, for online, you need to make sure that your slides, your toolkit, all of your presentations are downloadable so that they could access them ahead of time. So you have to also provide context to assign tasks. Sometimes I even create sample worksheet or sample project so that they will understand kung ano yung ibig kong sabihin dun sa output na yun. So I also have Facebook group because there are students na mas nakakagamit ng Facebook for free versus using their LMS. So you really have to make sure kung ano yung mas nag-work para sa kanila. Kasi nga UDL eh. So remember that we have to anticipate their needs. So if you already are familiar or are aware that these students are going to use Facebook more than LMS, then dun tayo sa Facebook ang gamit, diba? Then we also have the synchronous and synchronous sessions. Now for offline, you have to prepare tangible toolkits and textbooks so that they could prepare ahead of time. This is my example of my LMS. So we have check-in activity. For check-in teachers, please be reminded that you only have around few hours for asynchronous and asynchronous class. So meaning, hindi kayo pwedeng magbigay ng masyadong maraming readings para sa isang linggo. So ang ginagawa ko dyan is that meron akong mga readings na kailangan talaga nilang basahin, but there are supplementary materials that they can check lang if they wanted to know more. But I have a toolkit in my class. Later, if I still have time, I'm going to show it to you. So that's check-in. This is our check-up. So check-in is just to know how to just arouse their interest. Diba? For check-up, this is my reading to them. So this is the guidelines for inclusion of UNESCO. And I gave them week 1 PowerPoint presentation. This is to be used in their small group discussion. So ang tatlong steps kasi nila sa akin is first, independent study. Then we go small group discussion. Hindi ako kasali doon. So by group, nag-uusap-usap sila with the use of that PowerPoint. And then finally, every Monday, yun yung tinatawag namin na LGD or large group discussion. So dun sa small group discussion nila, independent study nila, dun sila nanonood ng video na pinresent ko. Kasi ang aming synchronous class ay maximum of 2 hours lang. So hindi ka magkaklase or magle-lecture kapag Monday. Okay, it's a big no. What you're going to do is to just check their understanding, find misconceptions, and to explain further on your lesson. Okay? So meaning hindi nyo nauulitin yung sinabi nyo ng lecture via video ng Thursday on Monday. Kasi nasabi nyo na yun eh. So what you're going to do is to test their knowledge. I will explain later. Okay? So for the checkout activity, kagaya ng previous na teacher kanina, meron din akong checkout activity every week. So as mentioned ko, this is going to be submitted on Thursday so that Monday, sabihin ko sinong pinakamagandang work, bakit magandang work niya, so on and so forth. So that is my checkout. Now, you are noticing here na meron akong date, meron akong time. Diba? So it is really important na hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin na Monday ang submission kasi napaka-lawak ng Monday. So you have to provide time to them so that nakaschedule lahat ng mga bagay. So October 4, only until 11 a.m. Kasi as a teacher, you also have to give time para i-check yung kanilang mga outputs. Okay? Then I have the survey for learning for week 1 if. It is just one question that asks kung ano ang natutunan nila for 1. Okay? So for this student to understand what this worksheet is all about, you're also seeing here that ito yung link ng babasahin. Meron akong sample na concept map. It could be submitted via hard copy or soft copy. It could be recorded audio or written. So you see there are a lot of options. Kasi mayroon akong mga estudyante na, ma'am, wala po akong gadget kundi cellphone lang. Sabi ko, sige, mag-draw ka sa paper. Sulat mo lahat ng mga nalalaman mo regarding this inclusion topic for worksheet number 1. Then take a picture. Tapos isend mo sa akin. Kapag hindi mo kayang masend, then isend mo sa Messenger kasi free yung data natin minsan sa Messenger, di ba? So, ang daming paraan para hindi magpasa for 1 week. Kasi when you know that your students are not giving an output for a week, then you know na naglalak na sila ng participation. So we do not really check attendance, pero we have to know their participation every week. So you see here, pwede siyang Google Drive, it could be mail, it could be Messenger, it could be courier, kung anong gusto nilang paraan na mapasa yung kanilang worksheet number 1. Now, hindi ka pwedeng gumawa ng worksheet or magpagawa ng worksheet sa kanila without a rubric. Sinabi din ni Sir kanina, diba? So you have to make sure that they know how they are going to be tested or how they are going to be graded. For instance, you have here 20 points all in all, 5 for excellent, 4 for above average, 3 for satisfactory, and 2 for needs improvement. So the concepts of inclusion will be worth 5 points kung excellent, meaning na-cover nila yung reading regarding the guidelines for inclusion. Second, key elements to inclusion are there. So at least 4 theoretical ideas and examples were drawn on the concept map to show how the society could shift towards inclusion. So another 5 points. Then we have here use of nodes and links. Kasi since this is a concept map, you have to make sure that it is presented clearly using diagrams, diba? And then we also have layout and organization. So madaming creative ways kasi kung paano gumawa ng concept map. So binibigyan natin ng room for creativity. Yan. So ano ulit yung tatlong sinasabi ni UNESCO para daw masabi na meron tayong inclusive classroom. So patingin nga ako ng sagot ninyo. Ano yung tatlong bagay na yan na nagsisimula sa P, P, A? Ang bilis, ang galing. So we have presence, participation, and achievement. Ang galing, diba? So nakikita natin na buhay ang ating mga participants. So this is an example of a toolkit, of my toolkit. You see here the information that this is only for PNU use. This is these are the writers. The contents, you see that there are 12 weeks here. Kasi nga sa isang term may 12 weeks. Meron dyan isang mental health break. So meaning, technically, you only have 11 topics sa isang term. Then this is your project. You explain how the project is done. Then pinakitaan mo din yun na rubric kung ano yung grade or how it will be graded. You will see here the rubric. Zoom natin ang konti. Yan, may rubric. Then we have weekly tasks, some reminders, so that alam nila kung ano yung mga expectations sa kanila for the different weeks. Kasi ito yung example ng toolkit ko. So the toolkit has this model called IDEA. I stands for induction of prior knowledge. Dissection ang D, exploration ang E, ang A naman is authentic assessment. So there. That's it. So lipat na tayo sa achievement. So dun sa tatlo, syempre ito yung pinakamahirap mahanap. Ito yung pinakamahirap na ma-target for students to actually have an achievement during this kind of setting. Tapos may monkeypox pa. Hindi natin alam kung ano ba. Pa-face-to-face na ba tayo or hindi. So here, you have to use UDL principles. Yun ang sagot natin kung paano natin magagawa or makakamit ang tinatawag natin na achievement. So UDL has 3 principles. So tandaan natin dito ang, ano ba natin bibigyan? Representation, engagement, REE. Yan, sige. So we have multiple means of representation, we have multiple means of engagement, and multiple means of action and expression. So when you say representation, you are using different materials so that it will be engaging for them. Pag sinabi natin engagement, kung paano din present ni Sir kanina yung kanyang engagement, how fun it is, how you can use dyads, how you can use group work, how you can use individual works, that would be engagement. Or how difficult or easy the material is, that is also engagement. And the third one is multiple means of action and expression. So paano nila i-represent yung natutunan nila? Okay, so let's do multiple means of representation. So the key here is that you have to go multisensorial. You have to use infographics, videos, audio recordings, podcasts, readings, and you have to speak the same language that they are using. So kung Filipino man yan, then gamitin natin ng Filipino. If it's going to be English, then you have to use English. So you have to also explain some concepts with the use of definitions plus examples. It is really important na naiintindihan nila yung concept that you're presenting, hindi lang yung simpleng concept. Okay, so these are also going to be done by activating their prior knowledge, by highlighting patterns, relationships, critical features, scaffolds, and you have to make sure that some activities could be replicable at home. You will also notice sa mga estudyante natin ngayon that they would respond better with the use of images, with the use of tables, instead of plain text. Kasi gusto nila nakaayos na yung kanilang mga materials. So we also have here an example. So this is part of my toolkit. So dito, sa page 25 of my toolkit, I explained to them sa the section of concepts what differentiated instruction is at saka kung ano yung UDL. Diba, if naka-image siya ng ganyan, kung nakikita natin that there are structures, there are videos, there are images, mas nakukuha natin yung attention nila. So instead na gagawa ka ng module or gagawa ka ng toolkit na puro text lang. So you will also notice here for the experiential episodes na meron akong PowerPoint presentation na binigay sa kanila. Then meron akong disability models. This is my own vlog. And meron akong additional na mga materials that I presented to them. I think it's time para ipakita ko sa inyo yung aking LMS. So this is my LMS. This is Course on Foundations of Special and Inclusive Education. You have here the welcome video. Then we have here the mission vision. Then welcome to my virtual classroom. We have to join the Facebook group, so on and so forth. Then the class orientation video. Kasi para hindi pa ulit-ulit, nag-record na ako ng video where I presented kung paano namin aayusin ang setup. Then we also have freedom wall. Sometimes kasi they would want to ask something pero ayaw nilang ma-name, diba? So they will use this Padlet anonymously. They will just write questions without really telling kung sino sila. So this is a virtual meeting etiquette. This is our syllabus, our project, which also explains the rubric, and a sample project para they understand what I mean. Then we also have group managers. Kasi per week, meron akong isang manager. Susunod na week, iba na naman ang manager ko. Then we have here honor code and assessments. This is my toolkit. The samples, yung mga screenshots ay pinakita ko kanina. We have worksheets. These are my reference materials. And this is my weekly learning logs. Yan. For example, pasok tayo sa week number 2. Ito yung check-in. Itong hidden, hindi ito yung pinakita ko sa kanila. So check-in would be the videos. Then this is the check-up. So itong dalawa lang natin yung check-up. This is hidden. So this is my video presentation, my explanation of the lecture. And the checkout activity is worksheet number 2. So they need to submit it. So you will notice na sa isang linggo, clear na ito yung mga ipapabasa mo sa kanila, ito yung ipapapanood mo sa kanila, then you have this checkout activity. So what do I do during the class? Ito na siya. So this is what you call as Jamboard activity. So si Jamboard kasi, pwede mong gamitin yung pen mo so that you can write on it. Halimbawa, this is Victor. Victor, the wild boy of Averon. For example, kunyari nasusulat ko ng dire-diretso. So you will also notice that this is week number 2. So during my actual synchronous participation, I will ask question per group. So dun ko naman nalaman kung ano ang nangyari sa kanilang small group discussion if it went well. For example, this is my question. So this is the history of disability from the era of extermination, era of ridicule, era of asylum, era of education, to current developments. And Victor, the wild boy of Averon, was captured from the forest on the era of education. My question for Group B, what if Victor was discovered in the era of ridicule? What do you think will happen to him? So, sasagot na sila. So, Group B yan. So, buong grupo, they have to formulate questions. Tapos, bibigyan ko sila ng score. Okay? So, may scoring ba ako dito? Pakita ko yung score. Ito yung aking score sheet. So, I usually have 3 points per group. Pero para ma-encourage natin sila na sumagot, kasi nung mga first year of pandemic, talagang na-experience ko, walang sumasagot sa akin kasi it is really a higher order thinking skill question na agad kapag synchronous participation. So, I devised that meron tayong mga skill. So, halimbawa, nasagot ni Group B yung tanong ko, meron silang 3 points. However, nung nandun ako sa Group C, hindi nila masagot yung tanong ko. So, doon ako nagpapasteal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, steal. So, pag nag-steal sila, sabi na sila ng group, tapos tatawagin ko na, for example, in Group A. Okay, Group A, going back to this question. If Victor was found during the era of ridicule, what do you think is going to happen to him? Sasagot na sila. Hanggang sa makuha namin yung tanong. So, we only have 5 groups sa isang week. So, therefore, I only have 5 questions para sa kanila. There are just some follow-ups, pero you have to consider that you only have 1 hour or 2 hours or less during your synchronous participation. So, hindi mo talaga sila pwedeng bigyan ng lecture. So, you have to really make the most out of it. So, yun yung lagi kong sinasabi kapag nagbibigay ako ng example ng ganito. So, that is, again, representation. So, here, we have multiple means of representation. Kagaya na sinabi ko, may project ka na sample information, may sample project ka pa na pinakita. So meaning, hindi lang isa yung information that they will get from you about what the project is all about. So everything is accessible to them. Okay, so everything is already prepared ahead of time. Then we have to move on to multiple means of engagement. For multiple means of engagement, we have the independent study. Therefore, they're going to read the toolkit all by themselves. So you have to read the toolkit, you have to understand the elements, everything. Then after that, they will be meeting as a group. Yung tinatawag namin na SGD or small group discussion using Messenger or kung gusto nila ng Zoom. Then yung large group discussion na, yun na nga yung sinasabi namin na presentation ng mga question. Yun yung mga how questions, why questions, what if, ganyan. There. Now, for multiple means of expression, this would be allowing creative output. For my week on giftedness, for example, that was week number 4, I asked them to create an online talent show. Ayan. So para meron namang fun, kahit na ganito yung setup natin, merong fun na gumagawa tayo ng something creative to discuss what giftedness, for example, is all about. But you also have to make sure that there are rubrics so that they will be guided. Okay? So engage students metacognitively, actively engage in goal setting, goal revisiting, and goal checking. Tanungin natin sila kung kailan nila gustong or kayang mapasa yung output, for example. So you will see here, pwedeng babago yung rubrics eh. Halimbawa, ano yung gusto nyo madagdag dito sa rubrics na to? So pag-uusapan natin lahat. So you also notice na may isang professor, that would be me, na mag-grade ng kanilang project. Then meron akong invited na other groups. Diba si Group A ay mag-grade sa Group B, ganyan. And they will also grade each other. Kasi hindi mo alam kung anong nangyayari sa grupo eh. So you have to know via their members kung kumusta ba ang participation ng bawat isa. So that would be for members. So laging may mga paraan. Now for the end of the week, Monday, ganyan ang end of the week namin, Monday for example, sasabihin ko kung sino yung best manager, sasabihin ko kung sino yung may magandang worksheet. I will also explain kung sino yung pinakamataas sa chapter test via their Facebook group. So, nagkakaroon sila ng energy lalo na maggawa ng better ng mga outputs. And also, I also allow revisions ng worksheets. So, most especially nung first year of pandemya, kasi talagang mataas-taas pa yung energy ko na nasa teacher. But dito naman sa second year of pandemya, may 2 na lang akong worksheet na binibigyan ko ng revision out of 5. Kasi ang hirap mag-check. So, later on, nagkaroon ako ng mga 400 na mga students. Tapos nagkaroon din ako ng large class. So, it was difficult for me to check outputs. Pero pinipilit ko pa din sa paraan ng hard copy ng aking class record at saka soft copy. Later, I will show you kapag nagkaroon pa tayo ng time. Ito na pala siya. Okay. So this is an example of my groupings. Nung first year ng pandemic, 6 groups pa ako. Nung second year, hindi ko na kaya. 5 na lang. So you have 5 groups here. Ito yung class manager. May mga names po dito sa black. So lalagay nila yung grades nila ng week 1 kasi nga ginraden ko sila sa EPM nyo, diba? Grades nila ng week 2, week 3, week 4, so on and so forth. Now, you will notice na may mga red na. Ibig sabihin, hindi na siya nag-submit itong estudyante na to. So definitely, measure mo talaga yung talagang participation nila at matatawagan mo sila. Kasi you already know na, ay, nawawala na tong batang to. So that's what you need to do. So ang key, teachers, is to grade them weekly. Ang hirap, but you have to really do it. For my case nga, pag Thursday, submission nila, checking ko ang asynchronous. So, binabalik ko sa kanila yung mga comments. So, pagdating ng Monday, I will tell sino yung best, sino yung may kailangan pa ng mga ayusin ng misconceptions, so on and so forth. So, nakikita nila yung kanilang performance hanggang sa matapos yung term. Ayan. So, I think that's one of the good practices. Okay? So, I will leave this room ng may ganitong quotation from Verna Myers, that diversity is being invited to the party while inclusion is being asked to dance. I believe that there are more questions rather than me presenting a lot dito sa topic on UDL. Kaya bibigyan natin siya ng mas maraming oras para dito sa question and answers. But if you can visit my blog, if you're teaching the same subject that I'm teaching, if it's about diversity, if it's about UDL as well, then you can find Mom Z Virtual Classroom via YouTube. And this is my book on Foundations of Special and Inclusive Education. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Custodio. That was so nice. Parang ang dami kong points, like reflecting kasi magsa-start na yung semester. So parang we still have time to innovate some parts of our like how we're delivering class online. And thank you po for, like, I love that quote. Diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. That was so nice. Thank you po for that. Now we open the floor for questions. Ayan. Ayan, may question po. What LMS are you using?
Oh, Moodle. It's the university Moodle.
Okay po. But then I guess may mga iba din like Google Classroom or Canvas.
Yes, I understand. Pero for example, our LMS is yung galing sa Philippine Normal University, but hindi naman talaga siya ibibigay sa'yo na ayos na eh, di ba? So I understand na bakit kaya ganun ka-ayos ganyan, so on and so forth. Inaral din po namin, and then binigyan din kami ng seminars on how to really create EPNU na direct na agad yung attention ng mga estudyante kung paano sila mag-work. Ganyan. So for example, lipat tayo sa week number 3 kasi UDL ko is week number 3. So these are my videos. Tapos ito yung check-up. Then meron pa rin akong vlog. Tapos yung check-out is this. Di ba may chapter test na ako? So yung chapter test is naka-EPNU pa din siya, naka-LMS pa din siya. That's it. Ayan. So, ang pinakamahirap talaga I understand is to begin. Di ba? To start somewhere. So, sa akin po, dahil in the beginning for my first year nung pandemya, naisip ko na baka magtagal itong pandemya na to. So, aralin ko na kung paano ito ginagawa. At saka siguro naging challenge din po na isa ko sa mga batang faculty. So, I have to be ready for the questions ng aking mga colleagues so that I can support them. So, kinarir ko para sa mga teachers din po natin.
Taray, oo. Maraming salamat po. Ayan. Oo, ganun talaga pag nasa younger generation.
Nakaka-relate si Jumix na. Yes.
Tama po. Ayan. Thank you po for that. There's another question here po. For the honor code, is this for your eyes only? What is the role of the group manager?
Ay, nice. Nice question. Hinihintay ko mga tanong eh. Okay, sige po. Share ko po yung screen. Sana lang makisama yung aking internet connectivity. But this is my EPNU going back. Close. When you're also speaking pala, while you're doing the screen sharing, kailangan mong sabihin kung anong ginagawa mo. Yan, okay? Kasi sometimes, hindi nakikita ng mga bata. So, mapapansin nyo na maingay ako habang nag-check ako ng screen. Medyo sanay din ako na meron akong estudyante na blind. That is also the reason why I talk a lot. Okay. So, this would be guidelines on group managers. So, ano ang task ng managers of the week? Wala lang akong, I think, kulang na yung time ko to present to you the sample video. Pero, this is what they do. The manager of the week makes sure that all members are going to work on the readings. And then, pagdating ng Monday synchronous namin, magre-report siya. So, ang i-report niya sa akin is yung accomplishments nila. For example, all members submitted their worksheet number 1 via EPNU kasi pwede naman sila mag-provide ng resibo, yung screenshot na, ma'am, nagtapos na po itong mga batang to, ganyan. Actually, makikita mo din naman sa EPNU if nagpasa sila. Then, you're going to explain the challenges. Then, you're going to ask them the challenges. For example, one member failed to attend the meeting due to blah, 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 but we shared the recorded meeting anyway. So, may small group discussion kasi sila. May PowerPoint pa nga akong shinare para sa kanila, diba? So, maraming mga materials that they should be using yung toolkit kasama sa pag-share or pagkakaroon ng kanilang small group discussion. Then, I asked them to give me one insight. Kasi kapag masyadong mahaba, nag-take na naman ng time. And also their suggestions. So, open ako sa suggestion na, for example, ma'am, what if we use this reference material? We notice na may bago na pong version ng book na to. Minsan, they say that kasi mas marami pa sila nakita online. So, you just need to become open to suggestions. Itong manager's report po, ito yung pinakaunang ginagawa ko sa synchronous class. So, ano ba ang nangyayari sa synchronous participation ko? So, we have energizer sa isang grupo. Halimbawa, group B for week number 2, sila na yung mag-energizer. Then, this is going to be followed by the manager's report. So, si manager's report is yung accomplishment hanggang suggestion. So while nasa synchronous participation ako, I am asking the same group members, halimbawa ng group B, to chat B or Bravo sa aking chat box. So doon makikita ko na nandun talaga sila. So yun yung reason kung bakit ako may physical na class record at pinagre-report ko si week manager. Kasi nalalaman ko na, sino umattend ng small group discussion. So may I know kung bakit hindi pumasok si ganito? Sige. So what did you do? So, ma'am, we shared the recorded meeting anyway, ganyan. So, yun yung mga kanilang mga resultan. Ano pang tanong? Let me go back. Here, yung honor code, I will also show you. Okay. So, here. So, sa first week po kasi, sinasabi ko na sa kanila yung honor code. Halimbawa, number 1, I accept the responsibility of managing my class tasks as scheduled. Yan. Tapos number 2, I will share I will not share any document outside of this class. Even when this term ends, I will not post screenshots, so on and so forth. So clear po lahat yan. Hanggang sa I will not practice or promote any form of dishonesty, such as sharing of examination answers to my classmates. Hanggang sa pinakahuli po, nakalagay is, should I fail to honor any of the foregoing statements I have pledged my agreement with, I shall receive an automatic course grade disqualification. So nagkakaintindihan po kami sa week number 1 that they have to be managers. They have to make sure that our materials are protected and hindi siya lalabas sa Facebook group namin na may sarili lang kami mga pictures na nangyayari sa loob ng klase at hindi siya pwedeng i-share sa labas. Then we have here their class schedule. This is the 1-hour class routine. Ayan. Yan, may mga motivation pa tayo na kunyari na work together as a team. If you will not be able to do some tasks that are expected of you, report it to the officers or managers at once so that they can do something about it. Sometimes kasi, they're not prepared pero hindi nila ginawa ng paraan. So, lagi siya dapat na magagawa ng paraan. Ito yung information and attendance nila sa akin. And then, ito yung assessment. So, you see here, this is their actual grades. Tapos, andito din yung kanilang mga links. Ayan. So, meaning, sa Monday, meron na kaming defense schedule. Ito yung kanilang petsa-kutsa link. And may mga hindi pa ako nag-gradean sa week number 10. Ibig sabihin, kasi week 12 na kami dapat. Ayan siya. Okay? So, that's it.